Chיים is at the boundary. Okay, we have been spending a good amount of time on Ois Chaf Gimel of the Tzidkas Hatzadik. Not too much time, in my opinion, because there's so much here, and obviously, as much time as we're spending, Reb Tzadok HaKohen spent more time on this concept of the Gimel Mishmaris Havi Alayla. But each time we're getting a little bit further. And here in the middle of Ois Chaf Gimel, he says that we find in the Gemara that the night has 3 mishmaris, right? So what we're looking at is starting at Shkia, let's say, make it easy, starting at Shkia and going to nets. This is already a machlekes rishonim, how you count them. When you count Laila, when you count Yoy. But let's say starting at Shkia and going till nets, which is Vaday Laila, you're going to divide it into 3. Those are the 3 mishmaris having Halayla. So where does any cheshbon you want to make, let's say now, let's say Shkia is at 5 and Nets is at 5, something like that. That's your 12-hour day. So where's Chatzos? Chatzos Halayla? Anybody home? Okay. Where's Chatzos Halayla? If you divide the night into 3, what do you say? You divide the night into 3, so you have 3 mishmaris. Beginning, the middle mishmar, and the end mishmar. So where does chatzos fall out? 1.5. 1.5. 4.5. What do you mean 4.5? There's only 3 mishmars.
3, 6.
Yeah, 4.5 from the beginning.
4.5 from the beginning.
Oh, hours.
Right. 9 hours.
Right. So I'm saying, in which mishmar does it fall out? Second mishmar, exactly in the middle. If you'll count your hours. So the Babylonians, one conquered the world and made everybody count with 60-minute hours. Before that, which is pretty convenient, before that we were counting, in our Yisrael we were counting with Shaz Maniyos, which is much more sophisticated. So that means that the night is always divided into 12, and sometimes it's like this and sometimes it's like that. So sometimes an hour will be, a Shazmanius hour will be 45 minutes, and sometimes it'll be 75 minutes, right? That's Shazmanius depending on the Urach HaLayla. So as I said in the morning, like it would be, imagine like we had our watches, Shazmanius watches. Could be, maybe today with an Apple Watch you could do such a thing. Not to know what time's about Kriya Shema. Like imagine we told time like that. So Hashem tells time like that and shows Maniyos. That's what he means when he says the earliest hour, the first hour, the second hour, the third hour. So when he talks about Chatzos Halayla all over the Chumash, we talk about Chatzos Halayla, which I'll show you. So that's the middle of the night. So there's always 6 hours. I just want to say this. There's always 6 hours before Chatzos and 6 hours after Chatzos. Simple enough. Right? So you can't have a case in the Torah. You can't have a case on the calendar. We have more or less than 6 hours before or after Chatzos. Chatzos is Chatzos, B'emtza. And B'emtza is always has to be, whether those hours are 45 minutes or 75 minutes, doesn't make a difference. There's always 6 hours before Chatzos, 6 hours after Chatzos. So just from a halachic and technical point of view, let's everybody understand that that's always the 6th hour of the night. And it's always the beginning of the 6th hour of the morning. So what does Chatzos belong to? It belongs to the night, or it belongs to the first part or the second part? Like midnight, is that AM or PM? Would you write it down? What is it right? What? 12 AM, as opposed to noon. So L'shitasav, according to Babylonian clock, midnight already belongs to the morning. With us, it makes a big nafkamina lahalacha and b'machshava, so let's and b'kabbalah even. So let's figure it out. What do you want to say here?
I'm going to embarrass myself with this question.
Go ahead. Huh?
Why do we assume that the three shmores are broken evenly? Can't one be longer than the other?
That's a good question. I don't know. I have no idea why. I just know that's the way it is. Meaning, because the Gemara says that it's divided into equal 3.
It says equal 3.
Yeah. You're saying, let's say it's the changing of the guard of certain malachim. So what would be so bad? One worked an hour, one worked 4 hours. I don't know. It would make a kina the vice bracious. I don't know.
I see jealousy there.
Let's say what? Oh. You're saying like a deep thing, you mean? Yeah. Kehillas. Is there a package of tea? Can you throw that up here? Thank you so much. I want to talk about this Kehillas in a minute. But first, let's just learn the words of Reb Tzadok. In the middle of Chaf Gimel, Ulishna Dab Sayis Dab Sayisa. There is a lashon in the Gemara of Chatzos, which is the middle of the middle. Why is the middle of the middle? Because there's 3 mishmaris in the night, and the middle one is going to contain Chatzos in it, and exactly the middle of the middle you're going to have Chatzos halayla, Emsa'is de Emsa'isa. The Gemara comes out later to say, Mashma, like you say, Gaira, Mashma, that Mishmar Opalga Nabi Mishmar Mikre. It doesn't have to be even. But here we have this new Zman of Chatzos, which is the middle of the whole Mishmaris Halayla. So Hainu, the point here is Chatzos Eis Ratzai. We find Chatzos is an Eis Ratzai. I'm in Chaf Gimel in the 2nd or 3rd paragraph. Ulalishna de'emtsayis de'emtsayisa hainu chatzais. The Gemara talks about on Gimel and Aleph emtsayis de'emtsayisa, which is chatzais eis ratzon. How do I know? He says that chatzais is an eis ratzon. By the way, the fact that chatzos is an eis ratzon is all over the Torah, all over Kabbalah. That's why people say tikkun chatzais. There's something very special about chatzais. Which we'll talk a little bit about, but I don't do it because I don't have the energy. But if you would get up at Chatzos and daven to Hashem, so it's Barish Tfilosa Miskabel. It's a good time to daven. K'mashabri Yavamas Hayim Beis Abed Aleph. There it says in Yavamas Hayim Beis Abed Aleph, Vayihi b'chatzi halayla, which says by Yitzias Mitzrayim. It says Vayihi b'chatzi halayla. Is that what? Why did Yitzias Mitzrayim happen at Chatzos halayla? Because today's Ratzon. I don't know yet if it's an Eis Ratzon because Yitzias Mitzrayim happened then, or Yitzias Mitzrayim happened then because it was an Eis Ratzon, and I'm also not convinced that Yitzias Mitzrayim happened then. Well, let's talk about it. L'kach ha-siman, and therefore you have a siman, which we'll go back to what we were talking about last week, of klavim tsoakim. Dogs tend to be screaming exactly at Chatzos, 6 hours into the night. When we talk about dogs, soakim, there's another lashon of the Gemara, it's klavim bochim. As I pointed out last week, I can't tell the difference between dogs, whether they're laughing or they're crying or whatever, but people say they can. So, but when it says klavim soakim as opposed to klavim bochim, hainu harabas kol simcha, they're jalavinzich. They're excited. Elio balair. We know that when Elio balair, klavim soakim, the dogs get all excited. We know that's a Gemara. We know that when the Malach Habav is balair, klavim bochim, klavim cry. There's a lot of dog noise at midnight. Why? It's a siman eis ratzon. It goes together. And we find this in Sefer Malachi by the Gula Asida. Hineni sholeach lachem es Eliyahu hanavi lifnei bo yoim Hashem hagadol v'hanoira. That Eliyahu hanavi is going to come before the final Geula. Let it be today. Eliyahu hanavi is going to come, and he's going to announce that there's going to be a geula, and presumably that's what happened at Yitzias Mitzrayim also. So just to point out that Yitzias Mitzrayim, like if we would have been there, And Chatzos Halayla was a lebedik tzait, like a lot of things were going on then. And because look what happened. Eliyahu Navi Balair, give us a gula. Malach Habavas Balair to kill the Bechorei Mitzrayim, and if we would have gone outside, the Bechorei Yisrael also. Also, stop midnight dogs bark. Right? Dogs bark at midnight. That's what the Gemara says. Dogs bark at midnight for whatever reason. And whenever there's some kind of an unusual action going on, movement going on, so dogs start barking, which is why people have guard dogs. They detect any kind of unusual movement, even more than alarms and even more than people. The dogs detect unusual movement and they'll start barking. So there's something going on. They detect storms. They start barking. So all these reasons where the dog should have been barking their heads off. Kehillas Mitzrayim v'chatzais, the Torah says layecharatz kelov l'shaynai. Didn't hear a peep from these dogs. So that's one of the nisim of Kehillas Mitzrayim, that the dogs did not bark at midnight, and they had every reason in the world to bark. Why did they bark? What was the need? What was the purpose of that nest? Nope. Just tell me, what was the purpose of the nest? What was it?
So
let it bark.
They can move freely and they're not disturbed.
Who?
So the Yehudim, when they needed to go get from the Egyptians all their clay kesef and zahav.
Nobody was walking their dog, yeah.
They weren't like, I can't even ask because the dogs are barking.
Ah, okay.
Where do we learn the dogs bark at midnight? That was
The Gemara. Brachas Gimel Abadal. Love him Sayakim.
I just have a little question here because didn't it say in the Techilat Mishmar you could have those simanim, and here you're in the middle of the second.
So the Gemara goes back and forth. The Gemara is trying to find out, is the simanim in the beginning of the Mishmar or is it in the middle of the Mishmar?
Okay.
So that's exactly what the Gemara. So here the Gemara says you see the Klavim Sayakim at midnight, which is Emsaisa to Emsaisa. The Medrash Tanchuma says that the dogs didn't bark by Kehillas Mitzrayim, so their children shouldn't be afraid. It should be relaxed. It should be, it should be. Imagine what it would have been. By the way, Egyptians had a lot of dogs. Apparently, it wasn't. There were like millions of dogs. So it would have been a big tumult, and it was shayef ayel, shayef nafak. It was nice and quiet by Kehillas Mitzrayim, like a very orderly, very masudar, quiet transfer of the Jewish people out of Mitzrayim. That's the Medrash Tanchuma says. Maybe you have your own. There's other svaras you can say. But in any case, it's an Eis Ratzin. Nope. Just want to clarify here. This is what I want to do. And I wrote down a couple of sukkim. Not 100%. Clear, and it'll be important for us to understand what exactly was Yetzias Mitzrayim. Philip said, "Kechatzois Laila." What was that? Yetzias Mitzrayim. Are you quoting a pasuk? Yeah. Makas Bechoros. Okay. So Moshe Rabbeinu, just for the record, let's correct the record. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't say that Chatzos Laila were going out of Mitzrayim. He said Ki Chatzos Laila, Mal Chabavas is going to come around Mitzrayim, and it's going to kill every firstborn. That's going to be Ki Chatzos Laila, and stay inside, not going anywhere. Stay inside your house. That was what took place in Chatzos Laila. Also, just to correct the record, where this week's parsha, these parshas over here. So, unlike the movie, in the movie, the one I saw, which was in 1962 or whatever, yeah. Yeah, so the Malach HaMavis was like this purple thing that came slowly into Mitzrayim and traveled from house to house. It's wrong. Instantaneously, there was It was more like a nuclear bomb. Malach Habavas. In one simple second, Kichatzos, the Malach Habavas came into Mitzrayim, and B'chari Mitzrayim, B'chari Behema, everything just dropped. It was in 1 second. I just want to get the picture straight. Like a, wasn't like, because, no, this is important for me because what you said is rigging. It's not it's not like a time, because time takes time. Time takes time. Okay, maybe you'll start at 12, but did this take till 12:03? I mean, how long does it take the Malach Habavas to get around? I just want to share with you a little bit of my confusion not in Shmos, but in Dvarim, in Parshas Re'eh. Shamores Chodesh Ha'aviv V'asisa Pesach L'Hashem Elikecha. Right, you should bring a carbon Pesach in the springtime, Pesach time. Ki b'chodesh Ha'aviv Hoitziacha Hashem Elikecha Hoitziacha Hashem Elikecha B'Mitzrayim Chayim Laila. Because it was in the Chodesh Aviv that Hashem, I'm just reading the words, Hotziacha Hashem Elikecha B'Mitzrayim Laila. Does that not say that Yetzias Mitzrayim was a night? The problem here is everyone is like, I have to, see, like these, I have to research it a little bit. But let's see, there's a lot of psukim about Yetzias Mitzrayim. It's all over the place, right? But if you look at, yeah.
So it's not after Chatzos. It's also Laila. It's not like the Babylonians.
Not going to like enough. Not going to get like enough at night. We wait for the morning.
But exactly, like, what time did they actually get permission? When did Paro come and say, okay?
Was it
12:03, 12:02?
As soon as you have permission, then you're out.
That's called.
Vayhi miketz shloshim shana ba'arba me'os shana vayhi be'etzem hayoim hazeh. It was exactly 430 years. Vayhi be'etzem hayom hazeh. How would you translate that? Mitten tag, yeah. Yatsu kol tzivos Hashem me'eretz Mitzrayim. We went out of Mitzrayim noontime. Let's assume that means be'etzem hayom hazeh. Usually means noontime. Like everybody can see. Rashi says in 3 places. Whatever it says etzem hayom hazeh means that in front of everybody. There's no doubt about it. Maybe you didn't see right. Maybe no. It was be'etzem hayom, broad daylight. Be'etzem hayom hazeh. We went out of Mitzrayim. Torah says, Leil Shimurim Hu L'Hashem. Loitzia Be'eretz Mitzrayim Hu Halayla Hazeh. L'Hashem Shimurim L'chol B'nai Yisrael L'Doirei Sum. So, like, here it seems to say very clearly in Parshas Re'eh that Hoitziacha Hashem L'Kecha B'Mitzrayim Loila. And here it says, Be'etzem Hayom Hazeh, which would be daytime. And then it says, Leil Shimurim Hu L'Hashem. We're making the Seder, like what do we make the Seder, for instance? Night, right? So the 15th, the night. So what are we commemorating there? That we're going to be going out of Mitzrayim, or that, okay, like we keep telling our kids, are we wrong? Tonight we went out of Mitzrayim. Is that what everybody says? Tonight we went out of Mitzrayim. If you're a Sephardi, you walk around with bags on your shoulders and going out of Mitzrayim. Leil Shimurim Hu L'Hashem Loitzia Me'eretz Mitzrayim Hu Halayla Hazeh L'Hashem. Halayla Hazeh, right? Yetzias Mitzrayim. So was it Be'etzem Hayom Hazeh, or was it Laila?
From the time the first person walked out to the time the last person walked out, by just hours.
You think so? Okay.
That wasn't instantaneous.
Al Chamavas. There was a chatzais alayla. What happened was makas b'chayros. This is what it says earlier in Parshas Bo. So the makas b'chayros. Just get it straight. I just like we're adults. Let's get it correct. The makas b'chayros was for sure b'chatzai alayla. So then what do you want to say? It took a long time. So when did we go out? 12 hours later. Yeah, do you think so? Let me ask you my klutz kasha. Why do we eat matzah? Because we had to run out so quickly that the dough couldn't rise. Hello? So quickly, 12 hours, anybody can make challah in 12 hours. I mean, that means, the way I'm understanding the halacha, that means that from Chatzos Halayla, where the Torah says we were given permission to go out, that's what it says in Parshas Rei, right? So let's say it took a while, or we wanted to relax. 18 minutes, and it would not have been matzah. It takes 18 minutes for a piece of dough to become challah. So it means to say the whole Yetzias Mitzrayim, Ira took 18 minutes if we ended up with matzah. Or is it the people at the end of the line ended up with bread, Wonder Bread? So it's confusing, no?
It was always the chametz, huh?
What? Why do we eat before chatzos? Why? Chatzos is like a deadline. Why? The Seder ends at chatzos. Why? Okay. We eat the afikomen by chatzos. Why? Korban Pesach has to be by chatzos.
Why would be 18 minutes if there's no chametz?
Why is 18 minutes what?
There's no chametz.
No, it was a mitzias. I'm just saying the mitzias is that we eat Pesach because we eat matzahs because they ate matzahs. Why do they eat matzahs?
Matzahs with chametz.
No, we said go out. Okay, everybody out of here. And then we left the next day, 12 hours later. I'm just asking.
Weren't there matzahs chametz?
They were chametz, though.
Okay, so
we're talking about our commemoration.
They had to rush. So that.
Well, you were saying they weren't kosher matzahs.
Huh?
They weren't
Right.
kosher matzahs.
But our matzahs, we're commemorating the rushing by saying it shouldn't be
Okay.
chametz.
I just want to say one thing about this. It's a little bit of a Shabaris Chodesh Ha'aviv, a little Chumash. Rashi says. One more time. I'm reading from the Torah. Parshas Dvarim Re'eh Perek Tezayin Pasuk Aleph. Shabaris Chodesh Ha'aviv Asisa Pesach LaHashem Elokecha. You should make it right every year. Ki b'chodesh Ha'aviv Hotziacha Hashem Elokecha b'Mitzrayim, because it was in this the month of Nisan. Hotziacha Hashem Elokecha b'Mitzrayim Laila. Hashem took you out Laila. Frank Rashi Aloi b'Yoyim Yatsu. Baruch Hashem. Shenebar B'Machras HaPesach Yatsu B'nei Yisrael. He brings a new pasuk in Bamidbar Lamed Gimel brings a new pasuk which says that B'atzim Hayom Hazeh we went out of Mitzrayim. So what do you mean Laila? Why is the Torah saying here Laila? Rashi is stuck up shop just like I am. Ella says Rashi in Torah it's like this. Lefi Shabalayla Nasan Lohem Paroi Rishus Lotzeis, that at night Paro gave Rishus. Right, he was petrified and by the Makas Becharos. So Paro in pajamas came running out and said, "Listen, get out of here, get out of Mitzrayim." Lila, Vayikra L'Moishel Lila, as it says in Shmos Yud Beis Pasuk Lamed Aleph, but they didn't end up leaving until midday. Okay, we'll leave. We'll leave here 410 years. You're here. You're slaves. You're begging to go out. Check out at 11. Can we have an extension? Can we have an extension? Right? No, listen. Whatever you're going to say, it's a funny story. It's a strange story. You were rushing to get out. So let's tell you something. So I was thinking, I grabbed a random. Nothing's random in this world, but I want to just grab a Haggadah. So I grabbed from Mosaic Press this Haggadah. This isn't every Haggadah, but Shemayim, I'll show you how I picked a Haggadah with a Pirush of Rabbi Daniel Rowe. Do you know him? Good Haggadah. One of Mosaic Press's Haggadahs. So here, as you know, immediately after we finish the official Seder, Shana Haba B'Yerushalayim, right? We finish the Seder, and you think you're going to go to sleep? No. Uvechein Vayehi B'Chatzi Halayla. Comes a piyut of Vayehi B'Chatzi Halayla, which translates, and it happened at midnight. That's what that means. Vayehi B'Chatzi Halayla, and it happened at midnight. What happened at midnight? I'm going to read you quickly. Just a short piyut. Oz, it was at midnight. Roiv Nisim Hifleisa Balayla. Roish Ashmoyer Azeh Halayla. Ger Tzedek Nitzachtoy Kenechlach Loy Layla. Vayehi B'Chatzi Halayla. The beginning of the watches of this night, you granted victory to Avraham Avinu, where the night was divided into two. Did you know that Avraham Avinu, the bris made up, or the Lamed Aleph Malachim, was exactly at midnight. Danta Melech Gror B'Chaloy B'Halayla. When the Melech Gror, the Tavi Melech, had a dream at night, right? Halayla, he found it, that was exactly at midnight, says the piyut here. By the way, it's all based on a Medrash Rabbah in Shmos Perek Chaf. The reason I know that because it says here Shmos Rabbah Perek Chaf. Danta Melech Gror B'Chaloy Hivchanata Arami Be'emes. You frightened Lavan in the dark of the night. That was midnight. Vayashar Yisrael Malach Vayuchaloi. Yaakov Avinu had his fight with the Malach and won the fight with him. Vayehi B'Chatzi Halayla. That was at midnight. Did you know all this? All this stuff happened at midnight. See, we're half asleep by the Seder. What?
The Malach cried off because he wanted to get up and...
Alay Sashachar.
It's a long fight.
Good.
It's a long fight.
Yeah, long fight. I mean, it was a war. Zera b'chorei patros machatzta b'chatzi halayla. You crushed the firstborn of Patros, that means Mitzrayim, at midnight. Chelab loimatzu b'kumam. They couldn't find their firstborns b'layla. Tisas negid charoshas silisa b'koichve. You trampled the army of Sisra exactly b'chatzi halayla. It's a good time for us. Chatzi halayla. Yatz b'charif l'noifef ivuye havashta pegarov. Sancherev, it's talking about here. It says in the English. Planned to wave his hand against the Beis Hamikdash, and you dried out his corpses exactly at midnight. Kara Bel umatzavai be'ishan. The Babylonians, Bel means Bavel, they all collapsed exactly at midnight. Leish chamudais, and to Daniel, ish chamudais, nigla raz chazais. You showed him an unbelievable prophecy in a dream. Vayehi b'chatzi halayla. This took place at midnight. Mishtaker b'chli kodesh narag boy b'layla. Talk about Belshazzar in the Megillah, right? So he was getting drunk on the Caleb of the Beis Hamikdash. Middle of the night, exactly. Chatzais, he died. Naisha bibar arayas paiser batuse Laila. Daniel was saved from the lion's den exactly at midnight. Sina natar agagi v'kasav svarim. Haman got up in the middle of the night to write Xeris against Klal Yisrael. Vayehi b'chatzi halayla. Irarta nitzchacha olav beneda shnas laila. Right? And the whole story of how we overcame Achashverosh was that Achashverosh woke up. Right? So what was that? That's what it says here.
So then they were reading Achashverosh the whole night until morning when Haman arrived.
You're being very practical here. But Seder,
It's a long reading.
the purpose of this piyut is to say that Yetzias Mitzrayim was b'chatzi halayla. And then there's the Gula Asida. And the Gula Asida, Karav Yoim, a day will come, Karev Yoim, Asher Hu Lo Yoim, V'Loi Laila, which is neither day nor night. See how you chap the whole thing? Karev Yoim, Asher hu lo yoim. Ramichal has a very beautiful niggun about this in Yiddish. Karev yoim asher hu lo yoim v'lo laila. A day will come which is neither day nor night. Why? Ram hoida ki l'cha hayoim af l'cha halayla. And it'll become known that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has the day and He has the night. Shoybrim hafked li'ircha kol hayoim v'chol halayla. There'll be guards on the base of Mikdash all day and all night. Tar ki yoim cheshkas laila, and the night, right, like the Yehei or halavana ki or hachama. The night will become day. Vayhi b'chatzi halayla. So, I want to share something with you. B'shem de Arizal. Not on this piyut, but this is what he says. He says that the Yetzias Mitzrayim was at midnight. The Yetzias Mitzrayim was midnight. And he says that it's called Yom, Batzim HaYom Hazeh, because the sun came out at midnight. So the Arizal says. Said over from Reb Chaim Vital. The sun came out at midnight, and there was no night. The Eis Ratzon of midnight. Let's be masber it this way. Reb Tzadok says that the Eis Ratzon of midnight is because really night is behind us and morning is in front of us. Now it's just a matter of time. Time? Hashem doesn't work with time. So the minute that we're finished with the darkness, it's really daytime. So there were 6 hours of not daytime, which were really supposed to be night. So like hold on to your chairs for a second. This is our Arizal. Where do we find a yontiv that begins at noon during the day? Good. Pesach. 14th. Cholok. Whole sugya, beginning of Psachim. Chazal Darshan, you wouldn't notice from the Chumash, but Chazal Darshan that you have to keep the Yisur Chametz from the day. Either something starts by Erev Vayiboker at night, or if it's a minor fast, it starts in the morning. Who trafmazach that something should start at Chatzos Hayoim. But the reason is, says the Arizal, because 6 hours went missing of the day, of the night. We have to make up those 6 hours. So he says. In other words, the 6 hours that was Keneged Ateva, where night became day. So now we have Keneged that, we have 6 hours of day where day becomes night. So the Vayihi Ara Vayi Boker starts at the Chatzos Hayoim. Okay, you can wrap your brain around that one. But what the point is, this is the point. The point is that there's, it's very important, like when we daven Marv, or whenever we say Kriya Shema, Mavri Yoimu Mevi Loila, Mavtul Ben Yoimu Ve Loila, Hashem Tzvaka Shema Yotzer, or Uvarei Choshech. We're always making a taruvais between Yom and Choshech. The Shulchan Aruch says before, in Mem Zayin, I think, the Shulchan Aruch says before that the reason why we have to say Yotzer or Uvarei Choshech is because it's very important to understand that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the Biyleh, before Haber, is the Biyleh both on Yom and on Laila. Because the whole dualistic thing was that night is for the devil and other forces, and Sitra Achra in the day. That's when Hashem is out. Our biggest Eis Ratzon is Belayla. The biggest Eis Ratzon is Belayla. So that's why before we say Achdus Hashem, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, before we're Mekabel Al Malchus Shemayim, which means that we are pronouncing and accepting that there's only one God. So first we have to understand, what do you mean one God? Come on, there's day, there's night, there's twilights, there's difficult times in Gullus, there's easier times in Gullus, there's pogroms, there's Holocaust, there's wonderful days in Gullus. Like what it's impossible. How do you put this psychologically into one package? And the answer is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is L'mala Min HaZman. Where do we see L'mala Min HaZman? Chatzos Halayla. Chatzos Halayla is Lo Min Hayoim V'Lo Min Halayla. And that's why Chatzos Halayla, if something is exactly in the middle, it's not a little bit of this and a little bit of that. It's not part of this, not part of that. It's not AM, it's not PM, it's midnight. So Chatzos Halayla stands above time. And since it stands above time, anything could happen. The sun could come out, anything could happen. So it stands above time, and that becomes the moment of Yetzias Mitzrayim. That becomes the moment of Yetzias Mitzrayim. It was the same moment, according to this, as the Makas Bechoros. And we ran at this moment, and so much so that our dough did not become into matzah. Now I said this Haggadah, this Haggadah.
I read the Makas Bechoros was before daylight.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Broad nightlight.
Yes. I don't have it clear, but yes.
Or Arba.
That's Ari is explaining. Thank you. Ari is explaining. Mapitom or Urtahu. That's exactly what he's explaining. Like or Arba or means the night. Since when? Does or mean night? Or means light. So the answer is the night became light. Whenever it comes to the Arizal, take it or leave it. But how do you think of these things?
It's actually, Rabbi, it's actually from a Zohar.
It's. I looked. I couldn't find
Zohar
it.
Parshas Hukat.
That says what?
That says that the sun shone.
Does it?
Yeah.
I couldn't find.
Oh.
I couldn't find. I looked.
It's interesting that Eight Ratzon is Chatzot, so why do we say Kichatzot? We should say...
Because for our humanity, he said Kichatzos. Like Rashi says, he said Kichatzos because you're not going to chop exactly Chatzos. That's Hashem's time.
So that's Hashem's.
Yeah.
So what do the Klovim have to do with this?
So we'll get there. Rabbi Rowe, there will be a future time of the Gula which will be neither day nor night. Day represents the time of light and revelation. Night represents dark and challenging times. The future will transcend any dark times. It will also shine more brightly than any light time that came before. And here he sends us to page 94. He brings here, so Svasebes. The Svasebes says, there's a arichas here on midnight. Svasebes points out that in Egypt, at midnight, doors have to be closed. Correct? Because the Malach HaMavis couldn't get in, and we painted down on the doors. But on Pesach, you open the door, Leil Shimurim. Svasebes points out that whereas in Egypt the doors have to be closed for this moment, we open our doors. So it is as if to say, we have already lived with your presence before, we can withstand an intensity even greater than the night. We are ready to leap one tiny drop further, all the way to the messianic climax of all of history. Meaning, let me say it in my words because Svasebes is hard. We jump there for a moment. We could jump for a moment of Lamala min hazman. That's why the dogs didn't bark. There's a moment of Lamala min hazman. Zman represents Teva. I keep on saying, I mentioned a number of weeks ago, I don't remember, but okay, what? That it's, I try to imagine a lot of things, but I can't imagine, I don't know how to think about a life without time. It's hard for me to understand the life without time, but after my drasha, so 3-4 people from KSY came and tried to explain to me how that works mathematically, how you can have life without time. Okay, I still don't understand how you can have life without time. It's not my hasaga. It's not, I don't understand. Like, are we supposed to understand infinity? What's half of infinity is infinity. I don't understand what life without time means. But there's an experience. But in Hashem's world, there's no time. Time is a bria. So it doesn't make a difference if it was now, before, after. It all comes together as one thing. That's the way it works with Hashem's world. So the representation of that in this world is Chatzos Halayla, Vayi b'Chatzi Halayla. The reason all these things happen, b'Chatzi Halayla, is that it was a moment asher, like the moment of the Gula of Karev Yom, asher hu lo Yom v'lo Layla. There's a moment of godliness, which is not day and it's not night. It's a moment. If if we get up and say Tikkun Chatzos at that moment, just, so Tfilah Seinana. I just want to say one last thing about it. Tikkun Chatzos is an interesting thing. You ever try it? So Tikkun Chatzos is an Eis Ratzon, and it's a time that Hashem will listen to our tefillas, but it's a time of Avelus. You sit on the floor. It's a time of Avelus for the Chorban Beis Hamikdash. So, is it a time of good, wonderful things happening, or is it a time of Avelus? All mixed up. The answer is Jews are all mixed up. The mixed up is that that there's such a metzias, mabish while being in this world, there's such a metzias of being min hayoim, min halayla, loy min hayoim, loy min halayla, of being lamala min hazman. And that lamala min hazman is when Yetzias Mitzrayim happened, and night became day, and day became night. And that's when Makas Bechoros happened, and the Klavim, the poor Klavim, like on the one hand, Malach HaMavos Bala'ir, and on the other hand, Eliyahu Hanavi Bala'ir. It's interesting that even in the Geula Hasidah, any little bit we know about it, which is not very much at all, but if you look at that same Nevuah of Zechariah, it's talking about like horrible things that are going to happen by the Geula, Goyim, etc. A war that's going to take a few seconds and obliterate most of the world. And we're all excited about, Shiur HaMa'alois. It's funny that we're so excited about this, Yom HaGodol veHanoira. It's a Marduk day, but the answer is that these feelings, that's what the Sfas Emes says, these feelings of this is a bad time, this is a good time, that's for amateurs. For people that really know Torah, we look forward to a time which is not time at all, which is Lamala Min HaZman. That's the Chatzos HaLayla, which these matters of time. It's not a good time. It's not a bad time. It's Hashem's time. Yom Hashem HaGadol. It's the Yom Hashem, and that's where the Reb Tzadok comes along and he tells us that this is an Eis Ratzon, and it's the Emsa de Emsiusa, the middle of everything. Okay, thank you very much. Amen.
How long did we have to stay inside our houses? Makas Bechoros was instantaneous. Did we go out and after
I think so.
Yeah?
Split second.
How did we know?
Kechatzos. Kechatzos, meaning like don't take a chance on exactly chatzos. One of the problems of life is that the sundials don't work during the night. How do they even know?
The sand, a big one.
I guess so.
It'd been useful if the dogs would have been barking that would have told them where it's Chatzos.
And even Omala, last week you said you weren't sure.
By Makas Bechoros.
Yeah, so you weren't sure what the pshat is that it's broken with So
Ani L'Vlei Malach of the Yetzias Mitzrayim, but the Malach did the Malach HaMavos. See, it could be also. So we have to investigate this.
Shalom says that
And even like Malach could be that Makas Bechoros was also done without a Malach HaMavos, unlike the movie, and Bamela, the dogs didn't bark.
So Shalom says that the Mitzad the Tumah that Amal couldn't do it. The Kosh Baruch Hu had to do it. I was thinking that
How'd you get a Amalek here?
Huh?
How'd you get a Amalek?
Did I say Amalek?
Yeah.
That's not what I meant.